Friday, May 2nd. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus, brought to you by Ike's Sandwiches. It's great to have you back here. Look, we got some 49ers stuff to get into, but none of it has anything to do with the postseason, and the Warriors are in a situation where tonight they have something that is very crucial to their postseason, namely a closeout game against the Houston Rockets. Now, we said on Wednesday it was a great day to close the door in Houston and not deal with this pesky basketball team anymore. Not only did they fail to close the door, I'm not even sure they got to the front porch. The 49ers. The Golden State Warriors got ran out of Houston. That game was over about 5 minutes into it. It was an awful showing. 2 games in a row, bad production out of Steph Curry. A couple games in a row where neither, Jimmy Buckets nor Draymond Green really having great games. Jimmy was good in that game 4 win, but Curry wasn't great. Draymond was in foul trouble, and then nobody. I mean, how are the Warriors going to fail in the postseason? They will fail in every single game that is earmarked with the following fact: neither Steph Curry nor Draymond Green nor Jimmy Butler played well. Those 3 guys all have off nights together. Warriors ain't doing nothing. So that's what happened in Houston. That's why I think it's kind of a burn the tape game, a throw it away game. You don't need to worry about it tonight game. The Warriors better handle their business tonight, because what I don't want to see the Warriors do is go to Houston, which is a game I think that there's a very good chance that they would lose. And then you don't really need to worry about the next round if you lose in game 7. But even if they were to win game 7, I think the damage that is being done to their chances in the next round are pretty severe. The fact that they have to play this game while Minnesota is already resting and licking its chops and just waiting to see who it's going to get. This is a bad situation the Warriors find themselves in right now. Don't exacerbate it. Don't make it worse. You failed to close out the Houston Rockets. I guarantee you ain't going to see the Western Conference Championship. If you close out the Houston Rockets tonight, the chances of you beating Minnesota go up. Not greatly. I do not like the Warriors against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I still want to see it played out. I want to see that series happen. And for that series to have a good chance at all to bend in the Warriors' direction, they cannot piss away more gasoline in a game 7. And all good, they got past Houston, but at what cost? At what price? Back at Chase Center for game 6 this evening. Brandon Pajemski, I'm looking at you. And Buddy Hield, I am looking at you. And you 2 guys were able to answer the bell in game 4. Not really in game 5. Role players. Even though these guys are in and out of the starting lineup, I'm going to call both of them role players. Always play better at home. I want Quentin Post to have a bigger game tonight, a Moses Moody game. Give me a surprise 12 to 15 points out of Gary Payton in minutes that he really gives the Warriors something that they're looking for. If that happens tonight at Chase Center with the prerequisite, mandatory sort of need that to even be in an NBA conversation, games out of Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler, they get it done tonight. I said Warriors in 6. Tonight is game 6. If I'm going to be right about this, great. I knew the Rockets were going to take a game or 2. After they won in game 5, of course, you want to win in game 4. You want to get cocky, and then you want game 5 now and just wrap it all up. But the Warriors need this. All the time to screw around, all the time to not chase a win, all the time to not really worry about what's happening. That time is gone. Capital Gone, gone. So you better have the P's and Q's on mine tonight. You better dot your I's and cross your T's. And I'm telling you, you cannot let the youth of the Houston Rockets just run you off the court again. They are really good. They're talented, man. They got some serious depth. And they got I'm telling you, the team is Jalen Green. If Jalen Green is feeling it, the Houston Rockets are a handful. If Jalen Green isn't feeling it, the Houston Rockets can be dealt with. Jalen Green was feeling it in game 5. He came out right away and established himself. You cannot let Jalen Green get comfortable at Chase Center tonight. You just can't let that happen. We all know Dylan Brooks is going to be up to his bullshit. Amen Thompson, that the good game or bad game out of that guy, he's a handful. He's a physical player. And if Fred VanVleet starts heating up from distance, go ahead and do something about that. Don't just let him continue to keep jacking up uncontested threes or poorly contested threes if he's on a heater. He was on an unbelievable heater back in game 4. The Warriors are lucky that they won that game with Fred VanVleet playing the way that he was. But I look at this is Jalen Green. Shut down Jalen Green. I don't think the Rockets are going to beat you at Chase Center. In the games that the Warriors have won in this series, it's because Jalen Green wasn't exactly lighting a world on fire in those moments. So, Warriors, no more messing around. Now, Jonathan Kuminga is apparently going to be available after a migraine. That's what they're calling the reason he was unavailable for Game 5. It's too bad because the bench got run in Game 5. It would have been a nice chance for Kuminga to establish himself in some way. But if Jimmy Butler's playing, I guess Kuminga is not. I would like to see him get in the game tonight. Just give the Warriors a little burst, a little defense, and if it's not working, get him off the court. But if it is working, that guy's legs aren't tired at this point in time in the year. That guy isn't in his mid to late 30s, just like most of the Houston Rockets aren't even in their mid to late 20s yet. A little youth versus youth, I think, is easier to get away with than youth versus experience. And if it's experienced guys putting Kuminga in a blender and making him look foolish, I don't know if the Houston Rockets are just going to do that with all the youth that they're throwing at the Warriors. I would play him a little bit tonight. I hope he does play. There's a point in me that's really like the Warriors have made me root for Jonathan Kuminga. It's official. I'm rooting for the guy, not like to prove them wrong, but just to salvage where his career is at this point in time. It is not where anyone had planned it to be. That's an understatement. So we will see. And again, look, Draymond, try to stay out of early foul trouble. Just for giggles. Just for giggles. See if you can stay out of early foul trouble tonight. And that goes a long, long way to beating the Houston Rockets. So there you go. There's really not much more of an NBA headline to share with you other than last night. Jalen Brunson was incredible for the New York Knicks. Do you realize that he is averaging 30 points in the postseason, putting him in a very, very rare handful of NFL players and talent? Let me see if I sent myself the email. Let me see if I got this right here, if I can find it real quick. Sorry. Man, a lot of emails coming in this morning. My shit got buried. Hold on. Here it is. Jalen Brunson's averaging 30.5 points in his 30 playoff games that he's played with the New York Knicks. Only 5 other players in NBA history have averaged more than 30 points in their first 30 playoff games for a franchise. Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Luka Doncic, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And now Jalen Brunson. By the way, can we just applaud the Dallas Mavericks? The Dallas Mavericks had Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic, and they don't now. Bang up job, Dallas Mavericks. Seriously. But how about that? It was, there's comparisons today that what Jay Williams, I think on ESPN said that right now already Jalen Brunson is the greatest New York Knick ever. Like, could you be more a prisoner of the moment by saying something that stupid out loud? Or we're just going to pretend Patrick Ewing was never in this conversation? Yeah, has Jalen Brunson done more than John Starks? Get out of here. Jalen Brunson's a really good player. I get it. But I don't think he's a better Knick than John Starks was. I don't think he's a better Knick than Anthony Mason was, even though he's a lot more productive, obviously. But Anthony Mason could kill you with a squint. There's this guy named Carmelo Anthony. I heard he was pretty good. He had a moment or two along the way. But yeah, that's a little bit of a prisoner of the moment. Chef A, must be brutal being a Dallas Mavericks fan. Seriously. It's rough. It is rough. By the way, JP from the 510 putting in a little time in the Bay Area. Bay Area bound a little later today, coming back to the old plantation. Good to see you, JP from the 510. My Japanese brother. Yeah, when I said, yeah, it's JP from the 510, man, we got to get together when we're all back in the Bay Area. He's like, no. It's not JP in the 510. It's JP from the 510. He and his wife live in Southern California, but coming up, have a good trip, man. Have a good trip. Safe trip. Good trip. See the family. Look, the Warriors need to handle their business. Jalen Brunson is a hell of a player. He ain't the greatest New York Knick ever. Oh, and the other thing from the NBA that we got to talk about here right now is one of the single greatest coaches the sport has ever seen, presiding over a legitimate dynasty in the San Antonio Spurs, the architect of the one-word sideline reporter interview answer, and one of the most glorious assholes the game of basketball has ever seen. And Greg Popovich has taken great pleasure in being a glorious asshole. He is not coming back to the sidelines. He is kicking it upstairs. He is going to be the president, the grand poobah of the San Antonio Spurs. But Greg Popovich's coaching days have come to an end. So the NBA is going to miss him. I'm going to miss Greg Popovich. Whenever the Warriors would play the Spurs, getting that Greg Popovich press conference was just fantastic. Watching him make everybody squirm, making people uncomfortable, doing it with a little bit of a twinkle in his eye. This was a man who wasn't afraid to share his Leans blue heart in the deep red state of Texas. Greg Popovich knows more about real men and winning and success and victory than a lot of people ever will. And I am going to miss Greg Popovich as a visible NBA entity that you get a lot of over the course of the year. Guy's been through a lot. By the way, this also means that Steve Kerr is out great wine dinners whenever the Spurs come to town. Greg Popovich would pick up all the tabs and all the wine, and they love the Seven Hills, a restaurant up in North Beach. Not in North Beach, but Seven Hills. It's on like Russian Hill. Really good Italian restaurant. Strong. I think I had a truffle ravioli at Seven Hills that was just outstanding. Anyway, love to Greg Popovich. And the NBA is going to miss him. The league will be less rich and interesting for having lost Greg Popovich. And folks, we're about to come to a generation. Like, I think LeBron is going to play more basketball. He's not going anywhere. Obviously, Steph, he's not going anywhere. But we are going to reach the end of a vital generation of NBA players and coaches and personalities in this league that have dominated this league for so long. And when they're all gone, it is hard to identify who the baton is really being passed to. And that's something that the NBA is going to need to figure out. It feels like the latest Heat effort has Eric Spoelstra just passed for the next, great coach in this league that everybody acknowledges now. The old man in the room is a great coach, even though Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. But man, the Miami Heat quit this year in a way that Heat culture was not trending on Twitter. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what this league looks like when several iconic figures step away from it in just the next handful of seasons. Jason Tatum's a really good player. I don't know if he's got the kind of charisma to carry the entire league. Victor Wembanyama, an incredible freak of nature athlete. I don't know if he's going to be or is in the location where he's going to get a lion's share. Again, I love what I see out of the young Oklahoma City Thunder, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, ready to assume the mantle. You'd think in this league. Luka's Lakers, maybe, although it sounded like JJ Redick kind of called him fat on the way out of his exit interview. He said guys weren't in championship shape. Feels like he might be looking at Luka there. But I love basketball. I love the NBA, and man, oh man, the NBA giving us a big one tonight. Warriors, Game 6, and even though it's not a win to stay alive, I'm going to say this is pretty much, if you want to succeed going forward in the next round, tonight is a must win. I think, how about this? The Warriors are going to have an awful lot of trouble handling Memphis if they are a little bit rested. If they're not, no, Memphis, excuse me, Minnesota. The Warriors are going to have trouble handling Minnesota, even if they are a little bit rested. If they have no rest because they had to go get through a game 7 in Houston, Timberwolves in 5. Maybe in 6. Timberwolves in 5, though. Warriors are in trouble if they got to play 2 more games in this series. Only giving them one more. All right. I want to thank very much my good friend Ike for sponsoring today's show. You see his cardboard cutout behind me. He's right there. Let me go ahead and put his beautiful punum up in the corner. I don't know what you're doing for lunch today. You would be very, very happy if you made the decision to go to Ike's. If you're here in California, if you are around now one of the 125 something locations that he has around the United States, you are a very lucky person. Get yourself to Ike's. Check out Ike's Catering and order some for the office as you're making plans to feed the office next week. Make sure you have signed up for the Love Rewards program. You earn your way to free drinks, free chips, free sandwiches. You get a free sandwich on your birthday when you're in the program. You get deals when it's Ike's birthday. All kinds of great stuff going on right now at Ike's. Go eat a delicious sandwich. Believe me, he's got one with your name on it, and he quite literally has one for you with my name on it. Try Damon Bruce if you're looking to start your journey somewhere. Any journey in San Francisco hopefully brings you to the threshold of the Dubliner West Portal, one of the great bars in the city. It really is. It's just perfect. It ain't trying to be fancy. It ain't trying to be beautiful. It ain't trying to be trendy. It's trying to be a bar. How about that? What do you think we're going to do? We're going to give you a great place to hang out with like-minded people, maybe put a game on and watch it, maybe listen to a little music, nothing here at a volume that's going to upset you. Got a great Guinness pull, got great bartenders in Kenny and John, just waiting to take good care of you at the Dubliner. Want to thank Kenny for joining me at the Guardsman Sports Auction last night. My pal Larry Kruger was there too. I'll show you what the Guardsman gave me in just a second. But again, everybody's making plans for the summer. I get asked a lot of times, what are you doing this summer? What are you doing? What are the plans? What are you and the family are doing? Look, what are you and the family doing this summer? Are you thinking about planning a camping trip? Are you in the state of California? If you are, check out this app. You can see it right there. Campsite Tonight. That is the app. I want you to download it if you are thinking of making a camping trip this year. It is like hotels.com for campsites. You don't want to show up at the place you drove 5 hours to get to only to find out that campsites are now unavailable. You're going to have to putter on down the road to find a new place to pitch your tent. Make sure the campsite you want to go to is ready for you. Reserve it now at campsitetonight.app. It's like hotels.com, but for campsites, starting here in the state of California and hopefully expanding far beyond soon. This is my buddy who lives across the street from me. I want you to download that. We are a community here, all trying to help each other's businesses grow. So download that app, check it out. You'll be very, very happy that you did if you are a camper. I promise you that. So look, what else have we got here? What else have we got here today? Oh, the news that George Kittle was almost traded. Well, maybe not almost traded, but apparently Diana Rossini is reporting that a second-round pick was offered to the Niners for George Kittle. Look. Let's look at this pragmatically, especially in the year where the mode for the 49ers has been, it ain't personal, it's business. They've said goodbye to a lot of players. As a matter of fact, you want to talk about the amount of experience that walked out the door? They said goodbye to 8 starters with a combined 54 years of NFL experience. So this is going to be a much different looking roster than ever before because the 49ers decided to stand on business and make tough choices. And when they were presented this choice with George Kittle, they didn't pull that trigger. Now you could say a second round draft pick, it's not enough. I would also say you look at wide receiver markets, what wide receivers have been traded for in the draft. And honestly, for a tight end at Kittle's age and at the time undetermined price point, it probably was about right, to be honest with you. Had George Kittle's replacement been on this team, the Niners do that deal. Let me tell you what the Niners didn't want to do. They didn't want to give a player who's got injury problems and concerns, getting Kittle through an entire season, playing every game. It's a chore. He takes a beating. A $20 million a year, 30-year-old tight end who's got an injury history. You say it out loud and you want to shiver a little, don't you? Like, before you pay that scenario $20 million, you probably want to go back to the bushel and pick another apple, and you would have gotten another pick. And one of my biggest complaints with the 49ers draft is that they never traded back and they never got more than just their 11 picks. Having said all that, it's George Kittle. So, of course, you're not going to trade him, because George Kittle is not only this team's starting tight end, is not only going to be one of this team's most sure-handed receivers going forward in a year where receiving comes with a question mark everywhere you look at it, but George Kittle is this team's spirit animal, too. He's like the unicorn that bounces off the rainbow and shows you where the pot of gold of good feelings are all the time. Everybody likes George Kittle. We did this show earlier in the week. Who doesn't like George Kittle? Teams who hate the 49ers like George Kittle. Fans who hate the 49ers like George Kittle. Bitter rivals of the 49ers like George Kittle. The media likes George Kittle. Assholes in the media like George Kittle. Little kids, old men, everyone in between, all of his teammates, all of his coaches, the owner of the team, everybody, every interview he's ever done, every press conference he's ever given, George Kittle crushes it. He is so much more than just a player. He is the Niner ambassador. He is their captain. He is a mascot. He is too many things in a year where you have so much turnover to walk away from. George Kittle's way too important to this team to walk away from him. Can't do it. Don't want to see it. And the Niners didn't do it, and that was the right choice. It really was. Kittle comes with his worries. Kittle comes with his concerns. Then you look at that, again, the man's injury history, the money allocated, his age. No one in the history of football with injury problems became less injury prone towards the end of their career. That's not how it works. The Niners are probably going to be paying George Kittle an awful lot of money for games he does not play in. It's just, his history. Perfectly said by Chef A. I glance over into the chat. Kittle, he's the Timex watch of the team. He takes a licking, keeps on ticking, and nobody ever complains about their Timex. It ain't the fanciest, it ain't the prettiest, it ain't a Rolex, but you know what it does? Keeps time. Otis, you're right. Guys like Kittle are hard to replace. Replacing his production would have been hard enough. Replacing his personality, that would have been impossible. Replacing what George Kittle means to just cooling down the room and making guys feel comfortable and making everybody, more confident in bad game today, we'll be back tomorrow. That's what George Kittle is. He's the tone setter in so many ways, on the field and off the field. So, of course, you're not trading that guy. But I bet you the Niners thought of it. I bet you they entertained it a little more than they would readily admit in their we're standing on business offseason. They blinked when they made their decision on George Kittle. They blinked. Rightfully so. I'm glad that they blinked. With all the new players, as I said, there are 54 years of NFL experience that walked out the door with the 8 starters who are no longer here. 17 rookies have been added to the roster. 38 of 90 rostered players on the 49ers have had 2 or fewer seasons of experience. Again, another reason why you need George Kittle around to set the tone. Another reason why John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are really happy that in the room right now, as phase 1 of the offseason workout programs gets underway, you got Nick Bosa and Trent Williams there. Kyle Shanahan even said, and I quote, "We have too many guys that don't know what they've been through that don't know what we've been through in the last 5 or 8 years here. And we've got to show them that in phase one, how we work and go about things and really establish that hard work." Direct quote from Kyle Shanahan. And I agree. And it is time officially to put that hard work back in. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This whole team needs to get back on its grind. And they need these new guys with their new lifeblood pumping into it. A complaint that I used to dismiss from Niners fans, because, again, the team was having success, but then the success ends and everyone's like, "Oh, I was right all this time." Well, you weren't right when they were going to a Super Bowl, but getting a little too old, getting a little too stale, getting a touch complacent. I do think that those things crept into the Niners locker room, whether they want to admit it or not. And it was as part of the many reasons for last year's falling down to just 6 wins. But interesting stuff about George Kittle. Another thing that I found interesting, and I brought this up with Kruger on this morning's Wake Up, is that, a lot of teams talk about, if there's a player that you really, really like at the end of the first round, maybe you're going to trade back into the end of the first round, because you would then get a 5th-year option for the team on the draft pick. First round, for those of you who do not know, for the last 12 years, one of the mechanisms attached to drafting a guy in the first round is that the team then gets a 5th-year option. You aren't drafted in the first round, your rookie contract is done after 4. Less in some cases. The 5th-year option on a late first-round pick, so we're talking 28 through 32. 28 through 32 slot positions, 5 slot positions at the end of the draft. There have been 59 players in the last 12 years that have been selected in the last 5 picks of the first round. And of those 59 players, only 18 of them, 31%, had their 5th-year option actually exercised by the team that drafted them. So in a world of draft value, there doesn't seem to be as much value attached to that 5th-round option as we say there should be. Now, if you draft a hell of a player, that 5th-round option is incredibly valuable. But given the fact that so few of the guys at the back of the draft get that option picked up, so few guys have 5-year-long NFL careers. The average NFL career is 3.5 years? So there's a big reason why 70% of the guys don't even reach a contract that presents them an option year, even if you were drafted in the first round. The washout in this league is incredible. It really is. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Warren Sharp shared that. But when we go forward and we're talking about do you want to trade back up late into the first round to get that 5th-year option? The answer is no. Odds are it's not going to be nearly as valuable as you think it is the moment you start talking about it. The other thing that I got for you from the world of the San Francisco 49ers today, and I am going to do another video about this, but the 49ers are going to be wearing new uniforms for a couple of games this season. How many games, I still do not know, but the NFL is announcing that over the next 4 or 5 years, it is rolling out a rivalries program where Nike, who is absolutely screwed up with the City Connect jerseys, most City Connect jerseys in Major League Baseball aren't just bad, they blow. They're awful. All of the NBA alternate jerseys, again, some of them pop, most of them don't. There is going to be a rivalry jersey, and they're debuting rivalry jerseys this upcoming season. We have not seen them yet. We don't know what they look like, but they're debuting rivalry jerseys in the AFC East and in the NFC West, meaning at one point We're going to see rivalry jerseys on the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Steelers, Jets, Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, and the 49ers. Don't screw it up. Keep it simple. Don't get too clever. Nike, the amount of screwed up jerseys I've seen Nike produce in my life, it is an abomination what they've done with some City Connect uniforms. The Giants City Connect uniform this year is an abomination. It has the color purple in it. No wonder why you lost to the Rockies. You're trying to look like them. Baltimore Ravens playing baseball in San Francisco. It's so stupid. The creamsicle City Connect jerseys with the orange bridge and the fog that I didn't like because they look like University of Illinois or Tennessee. Those things are a million times better compared to what they're wearing this year. The City Connect jerseys. The Padres had that pastel Rorschach test. That was just terrible last year. I get that these things for me aren't for me. I'm going to tell you right now, football, tread carefully, because you start messing around with people's football uniforms, you're going to get people pissed off. If I'm the 49ers, I try to lean into some Notre Dame gold tones. Try to Notre Dame gold up the helmet right there. Instead of just the Niner gold, you go real sparkly Notre Dame gold, put real flecks of gold in it. Jed will like that. He'll pay for it. But keep the logo. Don't try to do anything fancy with the SF on the side of the helmet. Remember when Eddie D did this? There it is. The 49ers actually tried to roll out and announce that was going to be their new logo. And it was so thoroughly mocked, laughed at, and rejected. It was gone within like 48 hours, never to almost be seen again, but for internet sleuths who can go and find it. The Niners nearly screwed the pooch trying to redesign their own Niner logo. I do not trust Nike. So good luck to all involved. Rivalry jerseys. I will reserve judgment until we see them, but Nike lost any benefit of the doubt a really, really long time ago on that front. We're going to get to today in history, but first there's something I want to show you. I told you I was never going to waste your time. Today, kind of a short show. Damon's got a lunch that he has to actually get to this afternoon to talk about a little future business he's trying to get done here on behalf of the Plus. Last night, it was not for business, but for pleasure that I, along with former Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots tight end Dwayne Allen, who is also a guardsman here in San Francisco, he and I co-hosted the Guardsman sports auction last night at the Fairmont. I think we raised an awful lot of money for Bay Area at-risk youth. And at one point in the proceedings, the Guardsman had 2 helmets made, much like I have a custom Plus helmet. The Guardsman had a couple football helmets made to put up on the dais and just look good sitting there. And then throughout the night, they honored a man who actually works for the San Francisco Giants, used to be president of the Guardsmen. His name is Steve Revetria. And Steve Revetria has been a very important piece of the Guardsman Bay Area sports auction. He's been an important guardsman. And so they wanted to do something very, very nice for Steve. And so they gave him one of the helmets. There was the Guardsman colors are green and white. So one of the helmets was white with a green sticker. The other was green with a white sticker on it, kind of like the New York Jets, right? They gave the other helmet to me. Thanks so much to the Guardsmen for styling me out with this totally cool helmet, which they got, by the way, through Green Gridiron. There's a link that you can go to Green Gridiron right on the description of this video to order customizable helmets. They've got all kinds of football helmets, whether you customize one. And by the way, this isn't some replica. This is a real deal. Like, we could put this on and go play an actual football game. This is a Riddell Speed helmet. Look at the details, because we're known for our tree lot. So the Guardsman tree lot is always in the logo. We got the Christmas trees. There's Christmas trees on the front bumper. On the back, it says Guardsman in Guardsmania. And then helmet stickers are Christmas trees. Look at those details. This is fantastic. Thanks so much to the Guardsman. I've hosted, I think, like 15 Guardsman sports auctions in a row. And so this is how they wanted to say thank you. And they gave me this. I think I got retired last night. I think they put me out to pasture last night. That helmet's going to find a place of honor on the shelf behind me. There's going to be some books that need to disappear. The ganja jar is going to have to move. Maybe the red skull stays. Skull stays. The Bobby Knight basketball stays. The skull stays. The Plus helmet stays. The knit A's cap stays. Niners helmet stays. Ganja jar stays. Few bobbleheads. Slave one stays. Boba Fett. But thanks so much to the Guardsman. And thanks to everyone who came out and raised an awful lot of money for Bay Area at-risk youth. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to involve the Plus more next year, and we're going to sell some tables to you guys next year. By the way, at my table, Larry Krueger and Kenny from the Dubliner, Kenny and I, we're starting to talk to the Giants about putting together a let's go to the ballpark day for the Plus, for the Dubliner. The plan is we all start our day at the Dubliner. Then we rent a bus to take us one way to the ballpark. We could hop on Muni, but we'll rent a bus, I think, maybe. And we'll get to the ballpark, keep the party going on the bus to the ballpark. Bus drops us off at ballpark. We all go get, bleacher tickets or whatever. We'll have a group ticket situation. And then after the game, it's Ollie Ollie oxen free, every man for himself. You can get home yourself. But that sounds like a really good, fun summer day that we will be putting together this summer. I promise you. So there you go. That is today's show. And boy, I hope that you were enjoying every single moment of today's show. What is this? Eating prime rib, watching tail. Oh, is that the Guardsman Sports Auction? Where's a part of that? You can put your weed in there. Yeah, you can put your weed anywhere, man. Yeah, the helmet's cool. I like it. Team Guardsman. It is. It's a dope-ass helmet, man. Damon, going to lunch at the Gold Club? Great buffet and sponsor. God, I do know Axel. I should call him, see if they ever wanted to do any advertising. Can you imagine if we start doing shows live from the Gold Club? I wonder if YouTube would even allow that to happen. Probably not. Anyway, are you ready for a little history? Because we got a little history for you today. Happy 50th birthday, David Beckham. He's a significant. I'm not a soccer guy, but David Beckham played a serious role in the last 50 years. Sure he did. England's greatest soccer player for a minute there, anyways. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, the people's eyebrow, the people's elbow, turns 53 years old today. The Rock, 53 years old. That dude is still on steroids. Today in 1536, imagine if something like this happened today. Today in 1536, Henry VIII, Henry VIII, Henry VIII had his second wife, who at the time, you just say he's his second wife. Well, it doesn't really sound like Queen of England. But if you're married to the King of England, you are the Queen of England. And today in 1536, he had Anne Boleyn committed to the Tower of London on charges of adultery, incest, treason, and witchcraft. Now, the truth is she was probably guilty of one of those, the adultery part, but every royal was banging them all back in the day. That shouldn't have offended anybody. Probably not guilty of witchcraft, probably not treason, incest, who knows? I mean, how did you become a royal in ancient England anyways? They're all a bunch of inbreds. It's amazing how much London and Kentucky really do have in common. Anyway, she would later be convicted and beheaded as justice moved swiftly back in those days. But how about that? King of England had the Queen of England committed to the Tower of London today in 1536. By the way, when you get your Tower of London tour, they bring you right to the spot where they chopped Anne Boleyn's head off. It's right there. Very interesting tour. Let's see. Today in 1920, the first ever Negro League game was played today in 1920 between the Indianapolis ABCs, and the Charles Joe Green Chicago Giants. Charles wanted to make sure his name was in there. Charles Joe Green Chicago Giants was the name of the team. And the Indianapolis ABCs beat the Chicago Giants 4-2 that day in the first ever game played in the inaugural season of the Negro League, the Negro National League. It was called the NNL, the Negro National League, and that was played at Washington Park in Indianapolis. So that's where the first ever Negro League game was played. And happy anniversary. Can't have an awful lot of baseball history without that history. Today in 1939, speaking of baseball history, today in 1939, Lou Gehrig ended his consecutive game streak of 2,130. Lou Gehrig, Wally Pipp, and then played 2,130 straight games. And that record stood from 1939 to 1995, when Cal Ripken helped us all forgive baseball over its major league strike, and Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,131 consecutive games. You want to talk about the record in sport that will never be broken? It feels like there are a lot of records in sports that'll never be broken, but all of them, are attached usually to an element of physicality where you never know who the next physical freak of nature will be to shatter that record. It will happen. It will happen. Someone will be faster than that, jump higher than that, pole vault higher than that. Someone will be better and faster all the time. So those records are going to fall. Cal Ripken Jr.'s record will never fall. Home run titles will fall. There'll be somebody who hits 74 one day. Might be Aaron Judge this year. But no one will ever be allowed to play that many consecutive games. The business of the game, the load management of the game, hey, you need a day off acknowledgement that is now ingrained into the game, where manhood used to not allow that to happen. It'll never, that is the one that ain't ever going to be broken record in all of sports. No one will ever play more consecutive baseball games than Cal Ripken Jr. has played. It will not be allowed by the teams that employ the player. They will not even get the opportunity to do it. By the way, today in 1946, an attempted prison escape by 6 inmates at Alcatraz resulted in 2 days of violent fighting, and that became known as the Battle of Alcatraz. How do I not know more about the Battle of Alcatraz? I've even done the Alcatraz tour like 2 or 3 times, and I always feel like that's kind of glossed over. Battle of Alcatraz sounds like a movie that comes on at about 2:30 in the afternoon on like the CW. And it's just bad enough to where you might watch it, because it's the just bad enough, it's kind of good level bad enough. Battle of Alcatraz today in 1946. Today in 1965. So I guess their first appearance wasn't this landmark television event or anything like that, but the second appearance of the Rolling Stones, because the Rolling Stones made an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, and then they really became the Rolling Stones, and by the time they came back to play the show again, it was massive. Today in 1965, the Rolling Stones made their second appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. Today in 1986, woo! Did you ever see the HBO miniseries Chernobyl? It's rough. The citizens of Chernobyl were told that they should leave their homes and were evacuated after being allowed to live in the most radioactive area in the history of the planet for 6 days. Let me sum it up easily. Everybody died. If you were around Chernobyl, they let Chernobyl spit nuclear waste into the air and didn't even tell the people who lived in Chernobyl that it was more than just a fire for 6 days. Russia would have probably never even come public with Chernobyl, but its radiation was detected in Switzerland. So what's going on? Oh, what's going on is the worst nuclear disaster in the planet's history. That's what's going on. That's it. That is a hardcore miniseries. It's really well acted. It's really well done. If you want to be wildly depressed, check out Chernobyl. It's really good on HBO. Finally, the only thing I have to tell you about is today in 2008, Marvel's Iron Man was released in theaters. It gave birth to the rebirth of Robert Downey Jr.'s career in Hollywood. If you are a huge fan of comic book movies, like, this is a game changer for you, because Iron Man became the entire Avengers series eventually. Unfortunately for the rest of us, after Iron Man in 2008, they haven't made a movie that hasn't been a superhero movie since then. Like, I like a superhero movie. I didn't need all my movies to be superhero movies. Or I didn't need any good idea for a movie squashed so a studio could produce yet another superhero movie. Did we need Shazam? Did we need that? We didn't need that. Did we need, what's the Rock superhero movie? That is the biggest piece of superhero movie shit ever. It's awful. The Rock, what was it, Black Adam? Was that his movie? That's maybe the worst superhero movie ever. All The Rock does is slowly hover above. It's just, I don't get it. Mike Baker, down with Chernobyl. Yeah. Anyways, there you go. Enough with the superhero movies. Enough with the nuclear reactions. You can't get enough Rolling Stones. I want to know more about the Battle of Alcatraz. No one will ever break Cal Ripken's record. Negro League's part of American history. And it's really harder to chop your wife's head off in 2025 than apparently it was in 1536. And that's probably a good thing. So thank you very, very, very much for being a part of today's show, watching, subscribing, liking, notifying, becoming a member, picking up a little merch, supporting the Guardsman, eating at Ike's, drinking at the Dubliner, and downloading Campsite tonight. That's all we ask. Thank you very, very much. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. Warriors, get it done tonight. Little professional advice from me to you. In the meantime, please do remember, oh yeah, I already said sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone.